Hiring is challenging, but there's one place you can go where hiring is simple, fast, and smart. A place where growing businesses connect to qualified candidates. That place is ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. ZipRecruiter sends your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, but they don't stop there. As applications come in, ZipRecruiter analyzes each one and spotlights the top candidates so you never miss a great match. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. With results like that, it's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the highest rated hiring site in America. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. STEPHENA. ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM, Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Nice to be back home. Nice to be back home from the NBA Finals. Got back to New York, okay, because even though I'm all over the place, New York, L.A., down in Texas, and every place in between, in terms of my hub, it's New York City. It's where I was born and raised, where my loved ones are, where my beloved New York Yankees are. Beautiful to see them handle their business. For the most part, winning 2 or 3 against the subpar New York Mets. Yesterday wasn't a great night. Seth Lugo put on a performance yesterday afternoon, rather. The New York Mets avoided a sweep and losing their 10th straight at home, while the Yankees have the best record in baseball right now. So I am very, very happy. Just wanted to say that. And now that I've got that off my chest, now that I've got that out the way, let me get to these NBA Finals, please. Let me get to what I witnessed transpire inside Quickens Loans Arena Friday night, site of Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Golden State Warriors trounced the Cleveland Cavaliers 108-85, blew them out of the building. Kevin Durant captured his second consecutive league MVP honors because he handled his business. He did what he was supposed to do, and in the end, it was more than enough. He finished with 20 points, 10 assists, and 12 rebounds. Steph Curry put on a show, he dropped 37 on 12 of 27, shooting 7 of 15 from three-point range. He was absolutely sensational. Didn't need much else going up against these Cavs. Didn't need that much. He didn't need that much for a couple of reasons. Number one, because the Cleveland Cavaliers quit. Make no mistake about it, they quit. They sat up there. They put their heads between their legs figuratively, and they kissed their behinds goodbye from the NBA Finals. That's what they did. It's what they did. You can slice this any way you want to. You can wiggle your way around it any way you want to. They quit. You want to sit up there and say they tried hard at the beginning? Okay, fine. You want to sit up there and say they were just going up against a superior team? Okay, that's fine. You want to sit up there and say they had no one outside of LeBron on the level of any of the members of the Golden State Warriors? I'll buy that too. Doesn't explain what I saw. You know, as I said to Scott Van Pelt Friday night on SportsCenter after the game, you know, if you've got a body in front of Kevin Durant and a hand up in his face, and he just elevates and completely toys with you because he's so superior, I understand that. If there's nothing you can do with Steph Curry on a fast break when he pulls up from 30, I understand that. If there's nothing you could do because Draymond Green or Klay Thompson are just too big, too strong, too gifted, I understand that. But ladies and gentlemen, when the game gets to a point where it's resembling a layup line, when three-pointers are taken so wide open with such little resistance that either you're playing a game of horse or you're going up or you're just practicing with your shooting coach. That's a problem. And that is what we saw Friday night. That is what we saw. They tell you anything they want to tell you. This team was atrocious Friday night, these Cleveland Cavaliers. They were horrible. They didn't show up to compete. They didn't show up to play. After blowing game one and LeBron James' post-game meltdown, and then predictably losing game two, and then coming home and fighting for their lives like everybody anticipated they would in game three, but still finding a way to lose. And oh, by the way, that game three, that wasn't finding a way to lose. I apologize. I take that back. What that was really about was the greatness of Kevin Durant. Dropped 43 and 13 that game. Looked every bit as formidable and above the clouds compared to his contemporaries as LeBron James looked in game one at the Oracle. That's how Kevin Durant looked in game three. But once you lost that game, tell the truth, Cleveland Cavaliers, you walked to the arena knowing you were going home. You walked to the arena knowing that you had no chance. You walked to the arena knowing you were going to get swept because you didn't want to go back to the Oracle. You didn't want to fly all the way back there and watch this team celebrate with 20,000 screaming fans and confetti descending from the rafters of the Oracle. You didn't want to see that. You didn't want to see it. And so as a result, you wet the bed. There was no valiant effort that was put forth and all of this other stuff. You were completely outclassed. It was in front of the basketball universe, which means anyone and everyone who cares a scintilla about basketball saw what transpired. They saw you quit as a team. And you know something? It was predictable. Ty Lue has to look in the mirror because this team, with some of those defensive lapses, no excuse. J.R. Smith, oh my God. I don't even know what to say about this, brother. It was just so bad. So bad. In 22 games in the postseason that J.R. Smith has played, 11 were in single digits, and 2 of them he didn't even score. He's the starting shooting guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers. A couple of those games, he went scoreless. Why are you around? Why are you playing? I can't excuse that. Kyle Korver, I felt bad for him. We obviously know he's been through a lot this offseason. During the season, he lost his brother during the season, had to take a leave of absence from the team because of that, came back and played valiantly throughout most of the playoffs. He was the one person that LeBron had that was very reliable, unless you want to include Kevin Love in that mix, assuming he doesn't get a concussion. I understand that. But Kyle Korver ended up going 1 for 16 in the NBA Finals. He shot 6% from the field and 9% from three-point range. That's just hideous. There's no way around it. And if you want to sit up there and look at it from that perspective, and you want to be like the Jamie Foxxes of the world who call up to this radio show and say, where you get, if it was LeBron, you'd have got on him. When you going to get on KD and all that stuff? I understand. You want to be a member of the LeBron James fan club or the LeBron James apologist club, whatever suits you, I'm down with it. I understand. You want to do all of that, it's cool. I'm in no position to disagree. I'm in no position to fight with anybody. I got it. But I got to tell you something. I got to get to LeBron James. Because you see, in case y'all didn't notice, all these comparisons end now. There is no comparison to Michael Jordan when it comes to LeBron. And Friday was the latest nugget of evidence one could have at their disposal. LeBron James had 7 40-plus games these playoffs. And 8th was when he dropped 51 against the Warriors in game 1 of this series. He was absolutely phenomenal for the most part. There was plenty of times where he wasn't playing defense. There was plenty of times where there were defensive lapses. And there was also plenty of times where one could look at him and say he just wasn't there. Game 1. I'm not going to be one of these people overreacting to LeBron James being all emotional after J.R. Smith blew game 1, essentially, and a game 1 in overtime. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit up there and pinch, and penny pinch and focus on LeBron being emotional and, when he learned that Ty Lue and them still had a timeout and didn't utilize it and all of this other stuff. I'm not going to overreact to that. What I'm going to tell you is that the players did. What I'm going to tell you is that if you're JR and the rest of those guys, when you're the best in the world, they're not looking for you to be that emotional, that distant, that far gone, believing that there's no way in hell you're going to win in overtime. They're not thinking like that. They're not doing it. Or how about this, ladies and gentlemen, because obviously I can't forget this. And I'm sorry for those of you out there who think I'm remotely critical, but it's my job. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? I call LeBron James a good man all the time. Call him an incredible social activist, philanthropic, ventures that he's engaged in, charitable with his time. I've mentioned all of these things from time to time. I haven't escaped anything. I haven't left out anything. But this same LeBron James, who finished with 23 Friday night, 7 of 13 shooting, only 13 shots. He had messed up his hand, and he came to the post-game podium with a cast on. Where was that cast in game 1, which is when you hurt yourself? Where were you in game 2? See, when you're talking about all of these different things, and so I'm not talking about where were you, where was the cast? Where was the cast in game 2? How about game 3? Why do you walk up to the podium with a cast on your hand on? See, ladies and gentlemen, if I were on TV today live from Bristol, Connecticut in New York, in ESPN studios, you know what I would have done? I would have worn a cast. And it would not have been to insult LeBron. It would have been to highlight to him how insulting he is to us. That's what it would have been for me. That's what it would have been for me. I would have highlighted. I'm just looking at him. Excuse me for losing my train of thought. I'm just saying to myself, I was so flabbergasted. Why are you wearing a cast after game 4? Why are you wearing a cast after you got swept? And if it was hurt that bad, how come we didn't see it in games 2, 3, or 4? Y'all really gonna buy that bogus excuse? Why he didn't want to tip off the Warriors? Stop. It was him once again trying to control the narrative. I want y'all to know, look at what the conditions, bad enough I had the teammates that I had, but look at what condition I was playing under. That's what that reeked of to me. And keep in mind, when he's talking about these players and he's talking about the difficulty in producing, when he's talking about all of these things, ladies and gentlemen, don't we need to keep in mind this fact, this reality? Don't we need to keep this in mind? That LeBron James, when you sit up there and you talk about him controlling the narrative like I do, understand something, ladies and gentlemen. I felt bad for LeBron, just not as bad as some of y'all did. He did pick this roster. J.R. Smith doesn't have 2 years and $30 million left on his contract. If it were not for LeBron James, the Cavaliers didn't want to pay J.R. Smith. They were willing to lose him. Tristan Thompson, same thing. LeBron got those brothers paid. Tristan Thompson came and did his job. He did all he could do. J.R. Smith completely betrayed LeBron. Because if you're not focused, if you spend most of the season being unfocused, uncommitted, and not doing the things that you can do to make sure that you're in peak condition, ready to perform, if you're not doing those things, after what this man did to take care of you, to make sure that you got paid, there's nothing to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe LeBron James will ever play with J.R. Smith again. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I don't see that. And I'm just at the mindset as we sit here right now and we think about it. Well, listen, like I said to Scott Van Pelt again on SportsCenter Friday night, if we going to give LeBron James credit, let's give it all to him. Give him credit for being one of the greatest players ever. Give him credit for being on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. Give him credit for carrying this sorry rat pack bunch of a team to the NBA Finals. Give him credit for all of that. But can we also give him credit for assembling the team? Can we also give him credit for alienating Kyrie? Can we also give him credit for making it unnecessarily hard on himself because he didn't want to cultivate that relationship well enough where Kyrie wouldn't be wanting to leave to go someplace else? And I know Kyrie Irving is looking good right now because he ended up with the Boston Celtics. He had Miami on his list. He had San Antonio on his list. He had the New York Knicks on his list. Kyrie Irving could have found themselves in situations that weren't going to be conducive to championships or championship contention. He had those on his wish list. He had it on his wish list. So he could have ended up in a worse situation. But what does it say to you if a guy who's a champion and who is a special talent and an all-star was willing to leave and to go to a suspect or questionable or subpar situation just to get away from you? If a guy feels that way about the best player in the world, is that all about him? Or does that have something to do with the best player in the world too? See, we gotta grow up and stop pacifying folks all the damn time. Let's just call it what it is. My man Will Kane said it on First Take this morning on ESPN with George Truly. He said, let's face reality. LeBron's the man, and he ain't shy about letting you know it. Every press conference about him, not about the team. Somehow, some way, it's his guys. I'm here and they're there. Fair enough, because it's the truth. But there's something to be said about wearing that on your sleeve and making sure they know it every chance you get and then asking them to step up. Where's the incentive? Now, one could argue championships, and I'll co-sign with that. But I've seen plenty of situations where folks are fighting with one another, and it just ain't working. And I'm telling you right now, when you look at LeBron, Rodney Hood, Jordan Clarkson played like trash during the finals. Rodney Hood was mired on the bench, inexplicably so. But once he got off of it, you saw something that he could do. But how limited do you think they are if their game is preceded by standing around watching LeBron James and leaving it up to him to make a decision as to whether they're going to be relevant on a particular afternoon or evening? Cats get tired of that. And when you get tired of that, it shows. And it not only shows in your play, and it not only shows in your abilities, and it not only shows with your collective efforts or lack thereof, but it also shows up in free agency when it's time for cats to come and play with you. And that begs the question, where does LeBron go from here? You got to wonder. Everybody talk about he can go where he wants. Yes, everybody's going to want him as an organization. But does his style of play really, really benefit other guys? We all can look at it any way we want to. Cavs got swept. They wet the bed. They quit. They gave up. And that's on LeBron's resume. A sweep. And in the immediate aftermath of that sweep, you come on a podium with a cast, telling the world of a broken hand that happened 3 games ago, which spanned a week? Really? Actually, more than a week, because that game 1 was Thursday night. So like 8 days. We're in the cast. Doing everything you can to point to what adverse circumstances you had to deal with. So much for the comparisons. I'm sorry. So much for the comparisons. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We'll continue with more of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. We'll ask ourselves, really answer the question as to where should and where do you think LeBron will go from here? I'll get into Kevin Durant and the Warriors a little bit later, by the way. Got a lot to say about them, too. You are listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Everyone in the neighborhood knew about Bobby. Bobby, the basketball boy, they called him. Bobby wanted to go pro someday, so he was always out in the driveway shooting hoops. But one day, his mom came out and told him,
"Hey, your wife wants you to take out the trash?"
His mom was visiting, and Bobby was a grown man. He had kind of missed his window. Plus, no one had ever seen him actually make a basket. But on the other hand, Bobby had heard how Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. So it was all good.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Back here in the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. At some point in hour number 2, I'm expecting to have the new head coach for the Detroit Pistons on the line, the one and only Dwane Casey. He just accepted the Pistons job this morning, a new 5-year deal to coach Blake Griffin and the Detroit Pistons. So I'm hoping to get him on the line. But until then, we'll go to your calls at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the deal. This morning, one of the things they asked me about LeBron losing in the finals and, talk about announcing a hand injury. And, they also said, what did you take from it? What did you get from it? I said, and I called LeBron insecure. It's hours later since I said that. I'm not mincing words. I'm not backing up one bit. You're the greatest player in the world. You are numero uno. You're big time. Arguments about you being on a Mount Rushmore of basketball with Kareem and Russell and MJ. All of those things have been said. All of those things have been talked about. Here's my issue. Everyone knows you're great. Everybody knows you're the best. But when you came out with that hand wrap, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, if I was on First Take in Bristol, Connecticut this morning, I'd have came out with a hand wrap. I would have came out with a cast on my hand. And it wouldn't have been to insult LeBron James. It would have been to highlight how insulting he is to our intelligence, because it's clear what he was doing. He was separating himself from the rest of his teammates. He was saying it was them, not me. Plus, look what I had to deal with. That was his objective. There's no way around it. It was gratuitous at best, and that's to be kind. That's on him. That absolutely positively is on him. You don't have to cast after game 1, game 2, or game 3. But right after you get swept, now we see this hand injury. You're insulting our intelligence. Trying to control the narrative. That's what he did. That's what happened. And there is no way around that. Period. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. I knew my man Carlton in Tampa would call eventually. I couldn't wait to get to him. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. How you doing this morning?
I'm exhausted. I haven't had a day off in months, but it's been great. Go ahead.
I'll tell you. I gotta say, I think this is the most childish, pathetic exhibition that I have ever seen a star professional athlete pursue in my entire 60-year life, okay? So even if you believe LeBron James, which I don't for 1 second, it is not a broken hand. It's a contusion that felt like a broken hand, according to him, okay? We have mocked JR for forgetting the score after game one, but we're not going to mock LeBron James for punching a whiteboard and taking himself out of the NBA Finals? Whose fault is it? If you believe LeBron, whose fault is it that he has a hand? It's his because he's a drama queen. He was pouting on the sidelines. He threw in the towel. He threw in the series after JR's mental blunder there. Okay? And this is why it's just got to be so pathetic to play with LeBron James. I mean, players must be dreading the idea that he's going to come to their team, for crying out loud. I mean, LeBron James in his 10 losses had 52 turnovers. 52! He had 8 in that final game against the Celtics. The only reason they won that game is because the Celtics shot 34% for that game. And yet LeBron got all the credit for taking them through that series. And now LeBron is going to try to throw all of his teammates under the bus again and say, look what I was dealing with, this injured hand of mine. Hey, Stephen A., do you remember in the third game against Golden State when LeBron threw the ball up against the backboard and slammed it down on the rim?
Carlton, I was thinking about that. I said, that hand looked perfectly fine to me. I didn't see a problem with that.
I know when he was doing his little hand things with his sons after the game, you know, with his right hand, whack, back and forth. That hand looked perfectly fine to me. This is nonsense, Stephen A. And again, you know, the bottom line is, other players must be dreading the idea of LeBron James coming to their team because they know if it doesn't work out, they're going to get all the blame, and LeBron is always going to have an excuse, and he's always going to be considered the greatest by his apologists. I will say this. The team was bad, though. It was bad. I mean, yeah, I'm not disputing anything that you're saying about LeBron, but this team was weak, though. Well, Love didn't have a good series, and J.R. Smith didn't have a good series, but look at the stats of the rest of them. They weren't bad. I mean, Thompson had a pretty, what more could the guy do?
Kyle Korver shot 1 for 16, man.
Well, you're right. Korver had a pretty good playoff series, but not against Golden State, right. The postseason series and so forth. But the bottom line, comes down to LeBron gets all the credit, none of the blame, and we should be mocking him right now for injuring himself. If you believe the LeBron story, he shouldn't be getting sympathy. People should be saying, are you kidding me? You took yourself out of this series by punching a whiteboard? You threw a fit when you were still tied after game one? A sulking drama fit on the sidelines and didn't rally your team to try to win that game? And by the way, you were supposed to lose that first game anyway. You were away, and you cashed it in after that. Your 2 home games, how come you didn't defend at home? You cashed it in, LeBron, because you couldn't handle the emotional trauma of JR making a mistake. You made a bigger one if you punched a whiteboard and injured your hand.
This
is really sad.
I will tell you this. I don't want to hear any more comparisons to MJ. It never was to me anyway, but I certainly don't want to hear it now, Carlton. I don't want to hear it now.
Exactly.
Take it easy, buddy. Thank you so much. Let's go to June in Long Island. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, June.
Stephen A., big fan, man. First time caller.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Listen, man, so I have 2 things to say. One, I think you're a little too harsh on LeBron, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm listening to First Take this morning. I'm hearing you saying Jordan would have got 1 game, Kobe would have got 1 game. What happened to Kobe in 2011 when they were back-to-back champions and they got swept in the second round by the Mavs?
I'm not talking.
They didn't get 1 game.
Hold on, wait. I was only talking about the finals. I know that they've gotten swept before. Hell, Jordan got swept before. I was talking about the NBA Finals.
And then now let me ask you another question.
Go ahead.
But there's about 400 players in the NBA. Name one player besides LeBron on that team that would even got Cleveland to the finals.
I don't have to. I don't have to. And here's why. Here's why, June. Here's what you're missing. You're not giving LeBron all the credit that he deserves. And that's where I'm challenging you on. LeBron assembled this team. To me, the biggest crime that LeBron committed was that LeBron alienated Kyrie. He did not nurture that relationship nearly as well as he should have, because had he done so, he might not have been in this predicament. He might not have had to carry as much of a load as he had to carry. He might not have had to be as scrutinized as he was. He might have been able to lean on somebody else and take a break, for crying out loud, rather than playing 43 to 45 minutes. He might have had to do all of those things, June. But he did this.
Man's chest. Game one, LeBron had, mind you, in the series, he's averaged 34, 10 with 8.5 assists.
Hold on, stop right there. Stop. Stop wasting my time giving me numbers. Not only do I know them, we have researchers that put the numbers in front of us every day. So stop. Start talking to me real talk. Don't give me those numbers. Those numbers you know well enough. You know basketball well enough, June, to know that numbers don't tell the whole story. Now go ahead.
No, I'm just, that's what only two questions I asked you. You said Kobe would have got. I said folks go down swinging. They didn't get swept in the finals, but more importantly, you go down swinging is all I'm trying to say. Didn't Cleveland give up to you Friday night? Did they give up? Yeah, but what? Do you see who they're playing? The Juggernaut in Golden State.
Hold on, wait a minute. I didn't say that. I didn't say they lost. I said they gave up. There's a difference. Are you excusing that?
No. But let me ask you a question. If you were in their shoes, you, Stephen A.
I'm swinging. I'm swinging, bro. I'm swinging. First of all, I couldn't shine LeBron's shoes, so don't insult LeBron by putting me into that category. I'm not worthy. But I tell you this, anything that I choose to do in life, I'm going out swinging.
My brother.
I'm going out swinging. That's all I'm saying. I appreciate the call, though. Thank you. 888-SAY-ESPN. Back with more of your calls on the NBA Finals in a minute. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Back to the phones we go at 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Let's go to Gerald in Burbank. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Gerald? How are you?
Good morning, Stephen A.
Talk to me.
You and I had a conversation last week, and my phone battery died, and you were responding back. And, I'd like to give you a chance to respond back. But first, the cast issue, if I can address that, please.
Go ahead.
Okay. So you're saying that he's like mocking the teammates. He's mocking the fans. Number one, he could have hurt his hand in that very game. Okay, but maybe it entered after game one with this frustration, which we all agree. Absolutely, we'd have the same frustration.
Yep.
But you also have to contend with Vegas and Vegas odds, Stephen A. And you of all people, the self-proclaimed mock jock of sports, you don't bring that point up.
Time out. Whoa. What do you mean self-proclaimed? I'm no self-proclaimed mock jock.
Oh, yeah, you're the new Howard Stern of sports.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
okay.
Stephen A., that's how you come across.
Okay, I'm saying I didn't know. I mean, that's your opinion. Okay. I didn't know that. But all right, go ahead.
I want to throw that out there in the lexicon so we all can see what's going on here. Now, Kobe Bryant sent out a post, a Facebook post, and I think you've seen it, of Detroit hammering, the fights with Barkley, the fights, the melee in Detroit. These guys are sending out just how soft the league has become. I don't know if you remember in the first game, LeBron drove to the basket, and Sean Livingston was checking him. LeBron basically grabbed him and threw him out of the way like he was a kid. And I said, okay, this is going to be a series. If the officials, if they let these guys play some basketball, the league is so paper thin.
So what is your point? Hurry up. What's your point?
My point is that you're a hater of LeBron James. And I told you when I called you last week that you're watching the greatest basketball player of all time if they let the teams play. And everybody else, they did fall down. He has a right to criticize his players. He has absolutely right. You want to hold him responsible for putting the team together? He's never had a coach. Ty Lue failed. I mean, he couldn't even pick the squad and stick with the squad. You guys want to criticize, especially Charles Barkley. I'm going to go after all you guys right now.
Oh, really? Oh, shut the hell up. Enough. I've listened to you enough. This is the problem. This is exactly the problem. Because 98% of the things that come out of our mouth about LeBron James is positive. But if we don't sit up there and literally get some toilet tissue and wipe his you-know-what, if we don't go call 1-800-FLOWERS and buy him a bed of roses, if we don't sit up there and give him a massage and a pedicure too, we're hating. Shut the hell up. Get out of here. I don't want to hear this stuff no more. I'm so sick of you. It's people like the Gerald and Bourbon. Ban that man from the show for the rest of the week. Shut the hell up. Everything he does is right? Everything? Everything? How did you like his suit with his shorts on? With his mismatched sock? Was that beautiful too? Should Tom Ford have something to be worried about? Huh? I mean, you gotta be kidding me. We sit up there, this dude comes out with a cast on his hand after game 4, after getting swept. There's no problem with that whatsoever. This dude sits up there and he's whining and losing his mind. Not that we should overreact to it because he had every right to be emotionally upset. But there was still 5 minutes to play. Oh, but we can't bring that up either. He assembles the squad that everybody's complaining about. We can't bring that up. He alienates the one star he had on the squad who averaged 29 and 27 in the NBA Finals, respectively, and hit the game clincher in a Game 7 2 years ago against the 73-9 team. But we can't bring that up either. I mean, if LeBron James passes gas, the Gerald and Burbanks of the world, that's perfume. That's Creed. Oh, that's everything from Creed to Old Spice and everything in between. 30. He could sit in your face and do something, and you'd probably think it's some turkey and cheese. You're pathetic. Shut the hell up. I'm so sick of this. We can't sit up there and critique a player recognizing that he deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore, but still critique him. No wonder LeBron James is always trying to control the narrative. He's got suckers like you. Hour number 2 up next.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hiring is challenging, but there's one place you can go where hiring is simple, fast, and smart. A place where growing businesses connect to qualified candidates. That place is ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. ZipRecruiter sends your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, but they don't stop there. As applications come in, ZipRecruiter analyzes each one and spotlights the top candidates so you never miss a great match. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. With results like that, it's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the highest rated hiring site in America. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. STEPHENA. ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio, which is presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today. The number to call up, as always, is 800-729-3776. I'm sorry, 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, hour number 2. Coming up in less than 10 minutes or so, new head coach for the Detroit Pistons, Mr. Dwane Casey, former coach for the Toronto Raptors, guided them to a 59-win season and the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference before they were swept by LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Looking forward to talking to him about his new gig and what happened to the Toronto Raptors. And of course, these NBA finals that just took place. But before that, want to get in something about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's making a little news right now. The reigning 2-time NBA champion as well as reigning two-time NBA Finals MVP, gave indications that he could see himself retiring at 35. He's in line to sign a new contract. He turns 30 in September. He could ink a 5-year deal in July. And he said he could see himself retiring by the age of 35. Quote, this game, your craft, you have to continue studying it. No matter how much you enjoy it, nobody wants to be in school that long. I know I don't. At some point, you have to be ready to graduate. 35, that's just a number in my mind. Rich Kleiman, Durant's business partner, said Durant had previously shared with him about 35 potentially being the ending date. He said, quote, I heard him say that, but I'll believe it when it happens. Durant, who's about 18 points shy of capturing or surpassing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time regular season scoring leader status, 38,387 points. That's how much Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has scored. Kevin Durant's about 18,000 points shy of that. LeBron James is within striking distance. He's at 31,038. And he is in position, ultimately, if he plays about 4 or 5 more seasons, LeBron James could capture it. He's got 4 seasons on Kevin Durant. He just completed his 15th season. Durant completed his 11th. One of the other things that Durant said, elaborating, he said, it's not about the record. I can leave the game knowing I did everything I wanted to do my way on my terms. That's how I want to leave the game. And if I happen to have all these accolades and these accomplishments, then that's cool. If not, I'm still cool. So I don't think that's going to define me as a player. It's a cool accomplishment to be up there with the greats and to be considered someone who can potentially chase that or beat that. But I'm not playing for that. That's what Kevin Durant said. Here's my thing about Kevin Durant. I think that he is a superstar player. I do not believe he's LeBron James. He's one of the top 3 players in the world, probably top 2, even though Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard could make a legitimate case, an argument for such stature. In the end, what it comes down to is this. Kevin Durant has never been that alpha dog. And to me, I know he made news because he made a statement over the weekend that it's easier to be the best player on a bad team than it is to stand out on a great team. He's right about that. 1,000% right. One could argue he was taking a shot at LeBron James. One could argue he was taking a shot at Russell Westbrook. I don't mean taking a shot as a negative, like trying to throw shade on them. I think saying something and just oblivious or indifferent to the fact that it would bring shade upon them. He ain't concerned about them. He's concerned about himself. He just beat the Cavs, so, he's going to have that kind of mentality, and he departed from Russell Westbrook. All right? And Westbrook is in his car on Instagram singing that song No Vaseline by Ice Cube from years ago. Go read the lyrics and you'll see what they're talking about. Said, I saw it coming. That's why I went solo. Well, actually, he ain't the one that went solo. That would be, he ended up being solo, but he ain't the one that instigated it. That would be Kevin Durant. Neither here nor there. The bottom line is Kevin Durant is a sensational basketball player. He's a scoring machine. And even though he wanted no parts of LeBron in game 1, like I said, LeBron looked like he didn't want any parts of Kevin Durant in game 3 when he dropped 43 and 13. So it is what it is. Here's my hope, ladies and gentlemen. I do not want to see the Cavs and the Golden State Warriors again. The best thing that's happened to me about these NBA finals is that they are over. And that I don't have to worry about seeing LeBron James in a Cleveland Cavaliers uniform and possibly coming out the East to go up against the Golden State Warriors again. If he stayed in the East and went to Boston or Philly, that would be different. If he goes out West and he's in Houston, that would be different. Me personally, I don't want to see the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors as organizations going up against one another again. I'm not interested in those connecting flights anymore. I want it over and done with. I want a new opponent. And if it's the Warriors in there against somebody new, that's fine. If it's 2 new teams, that's fine too. I don't care. Anything but Golden State and Cleveland again. I just want to make sure I state that for the record. Rob in the Bronx, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Stephen A., a few things. We like you said, we talk about LeBron James and his greatness, but you know what? We have to critique him, too. A couple of things I saw that I don't really hear anybody calling about is the fact that he missed a lot of free throws. LeBron James struggled from the free throw lines a lot this year. And another thing, instead of arguing when he doesn't get the call and hurry up and get back on defense, he argues with the ref, and it leads to the other team scoring buckets while he's down there arguing. Hurry up and get back on defense.
Lot of defensive lapses by LeBron, particularly in the finals. Yes, I saw that. He was complaining a lot and not getting back on defense, which Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson highlighted very, very accurately, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, yes. And another thing, do you feel that JaVale McGee, that Shaq should give JaVale McGee Shaqtin' a fool for missing that uncontested dunk on
that was a Shaq in the fool. You know I tweeted that. That was a Shaq in the fool moment. But JaVale McGee played well in the minimal opportunities that he received. He actually did step up and play well, and he deserves credit for that. I got to run, Rob. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you. Let's go to Eric in Michigan. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Eric?
Hey, what's up, Stephen A? Love your show. Love the music that you do on your commercial breaks.
Well, thank you.
Two quick points. The LeBron thing with the Castle, when I saw him on that podium at the post-game show, I had a flashback to when Scottie Pippen was carrying Michael Jordan off the court in the finals during that Utah game. I could never see LeBron playing that way.
No, yeah, because I'm saying you talking about when Michael Jordan was sick with the flu, sick as a dog. I think this is the anniversary of that game, by the way, when Michael Jordan dropped 38 that night. He was sick as a dog and throwing up and everything else. And ultimately he was leaning on Scottie Pippen, because he could barely stand up but still handling his business. You talking about that?
I'm talking about that.
All right, go ahead.
I don't see LeBron having the mental toughness to put the flu aside to drop 38 or 40 on anybody. And I think that's the difference.
Well, I can tell you that he did drop over 40 7 times and then dropped 51, which is over 40 an eighth time in game 1 of the NBA Finals. And I could see LeBron James putting forth a Herculean performance in terms of numbers. But I'm talking about pressurized moments where it really, really counts. And it comes down to you. Listen, he's hit game-winning shots. He's shown up. We've seen his greatness shine throughout these playoffs. We can't take anything away from him, but they quit Friday night. That much I'm willing to say. They quit Friday night. They quit.
Part on LeBron, though, because I don't think, and it's just my opinion, but I don't remember Michael ever letting any of his teams quit playing basketball.
I don't remember.
Being out there on the court watching his team.
Yeah, you know why you couldn't tell with Michael Jordan? Because when his team played like garbage, he'd say, "The hell with y'all, give me the ball," and he'd take every shot if he had to.
Well, his team for a lot of years played like garbage.
The earliest stages, yes, they did. Without question. The earliest stages, they absolutely did. Listen, LeBron is one of the greatest talents we've ever seen and deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore. But when we talk about him in comparison to MJ, we all know where the comparison goes out the window. We all know exactly where it is. It's a hard issue. You understand? Doesn't even compare. Not even the same stratosphere. That's the difference. More so than anything. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. Ron in Baltimore, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, Ron.
Hi, Stephen A. Can you explain to me, of all the things that I had a problem with, the switching of LeBron off of Durant, especially in Game 3? I know you mentioned it after the game, but just I'm still bothered by it, Stephen A., after this series. Like, I'm not necessarily with Michael, and I know in the NBA today that guys switch, but doesn't it bother you?
It bothers the hell out of me because they don't want to man up and accept those matchups. You know, you got too many guys that want to take off defensively. And LeBron is a huge culprit in that regard. LeBron, when he wants to be, is an elite defender, but he doesn't always choose to be. I mean, after game 1, you had Kevin Durant picking up LeBron everywhere he went. LeBron wasn't returning that favor.
Yeah, I hear you, man. To me, Stephen A., you can't use the excuse of being tired in the last 5 minutes, Stephen A., of Game 3. The last 5 minutes, every time a pick was set, he just went away and he didn't even realize the moment. There's a moment there where you can, because we're not even talking about LeBron offensively with the jumper. We're just talking about you have to take him out. And that's the thing that I know you alluded to, but it just bothers me after the series, Stephen. Now, for the hell with getting one game. Just guard Kevin Durant.
Well, we got too many people that get caught up in the team, and all of this other stuff. I want to see the best going up against the best, at least in pivotal moments. I want to see it about you against that guy. I think in the sport of basketball, those are the kind of things that can transpire. Those are the kind of things that make you feel good. And I think you got to go for that. And then unfortunately for me, I didn't see that. And that's a real problem for me. Too much damn switching. You
have a go.
You do the same. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Is he there, Kat? Is Coach there?
Not yet.
Yes, because I'm looking in any minute now. We expect to have Coach Dwane Casey, the new coach for the Detroit Pistons, on the line with us right now. So I can't wait for that to take place because that's going to be a beautiful thing, beautiful conversation to have. But until he gets on the phone, let's go to Jonathan in Texas. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Jonathan?
Yes, sir. First of all, man, first thing I want to say, man, looking at LeBron, man, with that cast on his hand, man, it brought back memories of last call was talking about Scottie Pippen. It actually made me think about it, Katrina, with the neck brace up there, man. He looked like a clown doing that, man. But
go ahead.
My biggest point, man, is I'm constantly hearing this LeBron James, Michael Jordan comparison. It's idiocy. Michael Jordan, his cerebral attitude with basketball, it's bar none. If you had this switch where you had LeBron and Steph Curry multiple times during the game, LeBron should have annihilated Steph, but he didn't. What was that, game 3 or game 4? Steph had two fouls in the first quarter. Mm-hmm. If you're LeBron James, Steph should have fouled out by the third. You should be wearing him out. And there's no excuse for it.
Well, I just think that more, see, you look at it that way. I look at it totally differently. Durant's got 43 and 13. Don't even let anybody else guard him. There's no one that could come close to guarding Kevin Durant on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Nobody. You got to accept that matchup. You got to sit up there and say, I'll take him. You got to want that. That's not what I saw.
Would have done 100% of the time, man. It's not a comparison. LeBron is absolutely one of the best players ever, but when you're talking the best, it's MJ hands down.
That's right. I appreciate the call, Jonathan. Thank you so much. Patrick in Ohio, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Patrick?
Hey, Stephen A. I hear everything that everybody's saying, and I want to just, first off, I'm a Laker fan, so I'm going to come off a little biased. I feel like you got Mike, you got Kobe. LeBron is the most dominant player in the game today.
Yes.
He's the most dominant player since I've seen since Shaquille O'Neal. But I do want to know your thoughts on Carmelo Anthony, Golden State collision course. What you think about that?
I tell you this much: Carmelo Anthony would be a significant upgrade to Swaggy P, Nick Young. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. And I'll tell you this too: Melo need to do something. I've had enough of this whole Melo thing. Melo has chased the money for many years. I love my man Melo, and I think that he was a big-time player. He has clearly regressed physically. He's not what he used to be physically, and maybe because he wasn't 100% healthy. But I still want the ball, regardless of how awful he looked in the first-round series against OKC. I still want Melo with the ball in his hand on a good team, where he's getting some open shots because he'll make them. My issue with Melo is that Melo had an opportunity to be a part of the Big Three in Miami. He went for the money. He had an opportunity to be in a better situation than waiting around for New York too long. He went with the money. And then ultimately, when he was willing to force himself out, he couldn't get to where he wanted to go, which was Houston. So he had to end up going to OKC, which wasn't a good situation for him at all. But in the end, he was drafted in the same draft as LeBron James. LeBron was number 1. Darko Milicic was number 2. Melo was number 3. And in those 15 same years that he's had in the league that LeBron James had, Carmelo Anthony has been out of the playoffs 4 times, bounced in the first round 9 times, made 1 conference semifinals appearance, 1 conference finals appearances, not 1 single appearance in the NBA finals. That's unacceptable. That is an unacceptable resume.
I just feel like from now on, I think when we speak of the greatest basketball players of all time, yeah, you got to go generational. But when you speak of anyone close to Mike, that's Kobe Bryant. But LeBron is the most dominant player that I've seen since Shaquille O'Neal. So when we talk about LeBron, let's talk about comparing him to Shaq, because that's what he is. He's an absolute monster to deal with when he chooses to be.
Yeah, I'm not going to compare him to Shaq, though. Two different positions, but I hear where you're coming from, and I understand. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. Sandy in Ohio, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Sandy?
Hello?
Hello, Sandy. You're live on the air.
Yeah.
How are you?
Nice, Stephen A.
How are you?
So, look, I'm good. I would just like to know, what are your real feelings towards LeBron? I mean, do you dislike him? I know everybody, you know, we hear you criticize him because he's the best player in the world, like you like to say. But, you know, he's not perfect. And I just think sometimes you are a little bit hard. And I know about all those stuff you've been saying.
I love how y'all ask me these questions and then don't let me answer. I love how y'all do that. I really do. You called up here, Sandy, to ask me a question. You said you really want to know, but you won't let me answer you. LeBron James is the greatest player in the world. LeBron James is a good man. LeBron James is too damn sensitive. And he hides his sensitivities when he wants to. He doesn't man up to what those insecurities are. And he holds it against people entirely too much. And that's my problem with him.
Well, can I ask you one more other question? Why do people like to compare him to Michael Jordan?
I don't know why, because I don't think there's a comparison. I think it's because he's the greatest of this generation, and people believe because it's the greatest of this generation that obviously that warrants comparisons to Michael Jordan. But LeBron James, make no mistake, is great. But I think that to answer your question directly, that's the problem, Sandy, because 95% of the time I'm very complimentary of LeBron. But I have a license to critique him. That's my job. And those critiques, because he and his apologists are so sensitive about it, is what makes it seem like he's always criticized, when in fact it's very, very rare, because there's very little that you can say about somebody that great. But nobody gets that. Nobody gets that at all. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me, but it is what it is. Sandy, thank you for the call. Jason in Washington, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Jason, go ahead.
Hey, Stephen A., how you going? I just wanted to say that, you know, LeBron didn't show up in Game 4, and I think that he's going to join another super team on the off season, and I still don't see him beating this.
Which team? Which team, Jason? Which team do you think he'll end up going to?
I'm getting a little sensitive. I'm becoming a LeBron James fan, so it must be the L.A. Lakers.
Well, let me ask you this question. If he wants to beat the Warriors, which he should since he's lost to them 3 of the last 4 years, if he wants to beat the Warriors, tell me what team you think he should go to.
There's only one team that can be have a possible chance of beating them, and that'll be the Houston Rockets.
Okay. I agree with you there, but I think he'd have a chance to beat them with Boston, too.
That'll be the ultimate surprise of the summer, and I think we're in store for something like that to happen. You know, the off-season is usually more interesting than the regular season.
Hey, Jason, I got to go. I got to cut you off abruptly because on the line with me right now, I got the new head coach for the Detroit Pistons, one and only Coach Dwane Casey is with yours truly right now. What's up, Coach? How are you, man?
Doing great, Stephen A. How you doing, buddy?
Congratulations. Tell us why you ended up taking the Detroit Pistons head coaching job, sir.
Well, when I saw you last week, I was not sure what I wanted to do. I did know it was a great situation, but I just didn't know if I needed to sit out a year, just going through a long, tough year this year and spend time with my family and take a sabbatical as far as visiting coaches and to get better. But again, I talked again with Tom Gores and Ed Stefanski and really, they made a compelling case as far as, you know, how we could do it together and really just convinced me that, you know, that was the right place to be. And they have a good team. They have a good roster and just, you know, and again, a very dynamic owner in Tom Gores who's doing a lot of things for the city of Detroit, downtown, and it's a little bit more than just coaching basketball, Stephen, and that really appealed to me also and my family, and doing a lot of stuff in the community, rebuilding downtown, helping out Flint in their water situation. So just a lot more things involved, just to, more than just basketball.
I know that for a lot of people, everybody out there, unless you were living under a rock, you know exactly what he's talking about when he's talking about that water situation in Flint, Michigan. Our sincere best to all of those folks in Flint and the surrounding areas. But Coach, when you speak strictly from a basketball perspective, is it just going to be about coaching? Because remember, in Stan Van Gundy, they let go of a man that had control of basketball operations and was the coach. What exactly is your role going to be beyond just coaching this basketball team?
Well, coaching basketball, Stephen A. And again, I understand, the in vogue thing now is to coach and have total control of the basketball operations. I don't want to get into that. All I want to do is coach. Coach Parcells said one time, you cook. They want you to cook the dinner. I just want to be able to go buy the groceries and have a say so in the groceries. That's all I want to do, and have a voice in the room. And Ed and I have a great relationship, and whoever they bring in as a general manager will have a good relationship, and just give my opinion on who, what we need, what we're looking for, that type of thing. But the current group there right now is a solid team. It didn't miss the playoffs by very much. I think health is the biggest issue, staying healthy. You have an all-star player in Blake Griffin who for whatever reason has had injury problems over the last few years, and I think that's his biggest challenge, because the talent is there, the IQ is there, the ability is there, and just making sure we do everything possible from an organizational standpoint to keep him healthy and on the floor.
What kind of potential do you think this franchise has with Blake Griffin leading the way? Because, Coach, he's a damn good player. There is no doubt about that. He's been an all-star before. But when you think superstar, most people don't look at Blake Griffin that way. How does that change with Dwane Casey as the new head coach for the Detroit Pistons?
Well, one thing is we're going to empower him as far as to expand his game a lot like DeMar DeRozan in Toronto. Expand his game out to the three-point line, have some point-forward responsibilities with the basketball out on the floor, bringing it down, because he's more than just a back-down, post-up player. And, we want to change that narrative also. We want to open up the floor, which will fit this team, and play a different style. And nothing, believe me, nothing, I'm not knocking Stan Van Gundy whatsoever, because he's a hell of a coach. But, we want to change the way we, play a little bit by opening up the floor, shooting more threes, and that type of thing. Sort of the same thing we did here in Toronto with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. And speaking of superstars, there's very few of those in the league, Stephen, as you know, and there's a different level. And so DeMar DeRozan and Kyle were really, really good players, but there's probably two or three superstars that, in my estimation, in the league. So, but Blake is right up there with Kyle and DeMar as far as talent level, IQ, and his ability to do a lot of different things.
What about your backcourt in Detroit with the Pistons? I mean, Reggie Jackson's obviously perceived as being a big component, but he's been injury prone or whatever. Give us some insight real quickly to the backcourt that you plan on having available to you.
Well, Reggie, like you said, Reggie Jackson, his issue is also staying healthy. Talent-wise, he's one of the best pick-and-roll players in the league, getting to where he wants to go with the basketball. So he has that ability, but just staying healthy. The other player that's really, really interesting, and Stephen A., and you know him, he's a young kid. Luke Kennard is a talent. He's just got to grow up, and because he has the vision on the floor, he can shoot the basketball. He's a tough kid. His IQ is high. He just needs to get some experience in playing. Reggie Bullock is an excellent knockdown shooter. So, and then Stanley Johnson. Stanley Johnson, in my estimation, has just as much potential as anybody. The key with him is I've got to get with him and our staff and coach him and see where we can get his potential to, because this is a big year for him. I mean, this is a make or break year for him, and And he has the ability. He's got a great body. He's got the ability to score the basketball. The key with him is just make sure we get his outside shooting consistent. But his talent level is there. He works his behind off. So I'm excited about getting with him and really the rest of the players and getting started to see who exactly they are. Because, again, like I said the other day on your show, you don't know what a guy can do or can't do until you really get in the gym with him and coach him and be a part of his development.
We're talking to the new head coach for the Detroit Pistons, Dwane Casey, who just agreed this morning. I believe it's like a 5-year deal to coach the Detroit Pistons. Over the last 7 years, been coaching in Toronto over the last 7 years, won 57% of his games the last 3 years, 56, 51, and then conference best, 59 games this past season and the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Last time we remember seeing you, Coach, you were coaching the Toronto Raptors. Y'all had lost in the Eastern Conference semifinals to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I thought y'all would lose that series. I predicted y'all would lose that series because of the greatness of LeBron James. But I don't think anybody expected y'all to get swept. What happened, Coach?
Well, it's the similar situation that Cleveland just went through with Golden State. We had game 1 under control. We had, a 14-point lead, missed our last 11 shots. We had 4 tip-ins at the buzzer, Stephen A., to finish the game and to win the game, and couldn't get him down. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's game 1. And then we had the lead, played well in game 2, and then LeBron. We played like LeBron did the second half and won the game. Game 3, he hits a running shot at the buzzer. So again, yes, we got swept, but it wasn't like we got our butts kicked each and every game. It was a 2-point, 1-point game. An overtime game to 2 games, and then after that we just could not get our mojo back, and that was the key. And just trying to get the confidence level, that energy level, that swagger that you need to compete at that. After you lose some tough games like that. But again, that's part of basketball. There's no excuse. Again, I thought it was competitive, but just not good enough to get it done.
Coach, before I let you get on out of here, because we only got about a minute left or so, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
No problem.
And again, congratulations so much. Looking at the dominance of the Golden State Warriors, Coach, I mean, is it a matter of where's LeBron going to go next, or just hoping and praying that CP3 stays healthy? Or, I mean, what is it going to take for somebody to knock Golden State off this pedestal that they're on right now? Real quick, Coach.
Well, it's just on the rest of the league. It's on us as an organization, our organization, to make sure we put together a team that matches them. I think right now Houston is probably the closest to match them step for step, shot for shot. As Daryl Morey said, an arms race. So, it's on all of us to build our team, to build our roster, to match them, to beat them, to compete with their 3-point shooting, and most of all, their basketball IQ. I think LeBron said it the other day. One thing that people underestimate, they look at their 3-point shooting, but their basketball IQ is off the chart. And that's one thing with our team, and I'm sure a lot of the coaches, is try to match their wit and their intelligence level along with your shooting to be able to beat them. But again, I think Houston with a healthy Chris Paul gave them all they wanted. So it's not like they're invincible. They can be beat, but it's going to take a high IQ basketball team as well as a good offensive team to put it together to get them.
Coach, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, man. Congratulations. It's well-deserved. I'm happy to see your first 11 years in the league. You were an assistant coach and then did about 3 more when you helped Dallas capture a championship. That's 14 years as an assistant. Had a 2-year stint in between in Minnesota before you landed with Toronto the last 7 years. This is well-deserved, my man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Stephen A.
Take it easy, buddy. We'll talk soon. Back to your calls and more in a few. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Washing my nose, oh yeah.
I'm a shower curtain, and I do one thing, keep water from leaking everywhere. So you see why I feel useless compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could Geico save you money, but they've been around for over 75 years, and they give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or on the Geico app. And they've got a 97% customer satisfaction rating. They do all this while I have to listen to this chucklehead. Oh, good, he stopped.
Washing my toes.
Oh, great, an encore.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Kimberly in Long Island, you're live with Stephen A. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, Stephen. How you doing?
I'm all right. Thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'm really getting upset behind people like really comparing Jordan to LeBron because, first of all, he's cut from a different cloth, okay? And what happened over the last week, that would never happen if Jordan was playing. Okay, so I just want to make that clear.
Okay.
Jordan he's like, you're comparing apples to oranges right now.
All right, go ahead. What's your second point?
And you're awesome, too. That's my second point.
Thank you so much.
But I just want to make sure that I just want to just make that clear with everyone because, I mean, this is the whole, they complain about every little thing. They're crying all the time. Every little, it's just like ridiculous. Jordan played the game. You know what I mean? It's just, they're too spoiled, basically. I just think they're spoiled.
Okay. I appreciate the call, Kimberly. You ain't wrong, girl. You ain't wrong. I'll tell you that. Thank you so much. Sal in L.A., you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Sal? Real quick, buddy. Go ahead.
Hey, Stephen A. Pleasure talking to you again. I was just wondering if LeBron does leave this offseason, what do you think is going to happen with Kevin Love?
Hard to say. I mean, Kevin Love is under contract. I mean, he'll probably be moved. They'll probably look to move him, see what kind of value they can get for him and whatever, because he's not going to want to stay there if LeBron is there. I mean, after all, LeBron is the only reason he came there in the first place. Remember, they gave up Andrew Wiggins to make sure they got their hands on Kevin Love. So we got to remember that. He's not going to want to leave. And so it's a situation right now where you got to wonder what it is. He's got 1 year left to go, and then after that, he's got a player option at $25.5 million in 2019. So I think this is going to be one of them situations where he'll be in a position to be out of there. And a lot of teams are going to be interested in him because they'll have him under their wing for a year. Plus, they'll have enough time to figure out whether or not he's going to stay or go, and that might elevate his trade value as well. So I think it's likely that if LeBron leaves, Kevin Love will be gone too.
Oh, so thank you for the insight, Stephen. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Your calls to close out the show in a minute. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it.
By the way, congratulations to ESPN, worldwide leader, entertainment, sports programming network, company in which I work for. I went to the ESPN app to watch Terrence Crawford dismantle Jeff Horn at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas Saturday night. I was supposed to be there, but I had finals responsibilities, and I'll be damned if I was flying out to Vegas after that. Let me say this. Jamal Crawford looked special. Now, obviously, you got to take into account the opponent, but considering the fact that he carried his power with him and that Jeff Horn did everything he could to try and push him around because that's the only tool he had in his arsenal, and it didn't work. And Jamal Crawford with that jab, with that power, Keith Thurman, Errol Spence Jr., here comes Crawford. I think he'll beat Thurman. I'm not willing to say that yet about Errol Spence. I think both he and Errol Spence Jr. will beat Thurman. I don't know what's going to happen if they face each other. Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, all of these brothers. Mad respect for them, but Crawford looks to be on a different level. Let me get on out of here real quick. Brian in Dallas, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
How you doing, Stephen A? I hear a lot of people saying that LeBron isn't better than Michael Jordan. In my eyes, I think that he is. Michael Jordan had the luxury of playing with Scottie Pippen, and
you know what? Call me back tomorrow when I can give you more time and you have a more cogent argument than the one you just playing. It's like you recline back and you'll see the national audience trying to listen to you. You don't even have no bass in your voice, and you ain't even bringing up basketball. Oh, he had Scottie Pippen, whatever. You have eyes, you can see, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Until then, later. Let's go to Don in L.A. You're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Don, go ahead.
Oh, Stephen A., great show. Thank you for keeping it real, and at least having a debate on, LeBron and stuff like that, where he fits in. But that move at the cast, Stephen A., that's just a punk move. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for LeBron. He's better than that, and my thing is, you look at guys like Michael, Kobe, Larry Bird, Kareem, Bill Russell. These guys are stone-cold killers, closers, and LeBron, there's just something missing in his makeup. And I can't put my finger on it, but you see it when it's not there. Like what the French call je ne sais quoi, whatever it is, he's lacking it. You mentioned the other day, you were saying, what if LeBron had been on a team with Shaq instead of Kobe? They're still going to need a closer because neither, Shaq and his work ethic and not being there at the end of games because of his free throwing or lack of it. LeBron with his, things aren't going my way, I'm going to check out.
Wow.
They're still going to need a closer. I mean, they won their games, but you know what I'm saying?
I'm running out of time. I appreciate the call. I got to run. But listen, I don't want to accuse him of checking out. The team lost or whatever. They all quit eventually. They all quit eventually. There's only but so much LeBron can do. That much is true. But at the same time, this being your last game of the season, you didn't want to go out like that. And he did. And that is a fact. Going to get into baseball and more NBA stuff as the draft approaching, then some, 22 hours from now. Until then, peace and love.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.